Well, it has been a heat wave here in NYC. Time of this recording, we were breaking mid 90s. Supposed to get to 100 midweek. By the time you see this video, hopefully we'll be back down to the 80s. Here Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to another edition of Otaku Thursday. Thank you for clicking on this video. Remember, don't forget to drop a comment. If you like the show, hit the like. Share this video with your friends and enemies. And also, hit that subscribe button. It's very important that you do, whether you're here on YouTube, on Rumble. Well, this week, we got San Diego Comic-Con coming up this weekend. It's the week before America's birthday. July 4th is a week from tomorrow. Anime NYC is coming on in August. That's 21st to the 24th on there. So there'll be a lot coming out on there. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, I'm trying to catch up on my anime. I just finished one major one, and the funny part is they just announced that it's got a season 2. I've talked about it before. I've said this before. There's some stories out there in the anime manga world, not so many people talk about, but it has a good story to it. It is enjoyable. Not everyone will enjoy it, but I did. It was pretty good. That was from an old country bumpkin to master swordsman. That was over on Amazon Prime. Some people are not liking that. That's over on Amazon. But hey, listen, Crunchyroll needs some competition. They're holding a lot of the cards. Sony is holding a lot of the cards in this business. The other good thing, with Amazon, you got it both in English and in Japanese, so you're able to see it both ways onto that situation. The other one I got to finish up there is the Gundam series, GQ, however you pronounce that one on there. That series, it's been going pretty good. I just haven't caught back to it. But like I said, Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman's getting a season 2. When will that happen? It's hard to say. It's probably it'll be here in 2026, probably late 2026, maybe into 2027. It is a good season. I mean, if you haven't seen this yet, do catch it. It's about a guy he's a humble guy. He has a dojo that teaches kids swordplay in the rural areas, and then the kingdom comes calling and brings him to the kingdom to become a swordsman teacher to the elite, the soldiers in his group that he's bringing up on there. This guy is very humble, but very experienced in his swordplay on there. Most of the characters that are in this are former students to his teachings on there. It is a good story. I mean, we're leaving off that basically there's something going on between one kingdom and the church. There is a marriage coming between the prince and princesses of two kingdoms. But we'll see what will happen with season 2 on there. It has some good points to it. Some good action and fighting. And there are some parts that are basically, it's a little slow at certain points, but the thing about it is, it adds to it, to the character building, the world building of this type of show. I would assume Amazon will get the second season of this, unless it gets bought out by someone else, like Crunchyroll or maybe Tubi TV or someone else onto that. But today's subject matter, we're going to be talking about a little bit on Hollywood and the anime industry. There is a Japanese producer. There was an article back on the 16th of June, basically talking that this producer, he just doesn't like Hollywood, and that Hollywood's using the industry as an excuse, as a cheaper excuse to make products. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But there are 2 other things I just want to touch base on. First thing, and this is coming out on here, if you happen to be going to Japan somewhere between November of this year and into January of next year, you might want to head on over to the Evangelion celebration, the 30th anniversary exhibition that is happening in Japan. Let me just read this off of Anime Corner. The Evangelion franchise is marking its 30th anniversary with a special exhibition titled All of Evangelion, set to take place at Tokyo City View from November 14th to 2025 to January 12th, 2026. The Neon Genesis Evangelion anime was the first broadcast on October 4th of 95, which is it's a great series if you've not seen this. If you haven't seen this yet, where have you been? The exhibition will showcase a wide range of production materials, including rare anime cells, original drawings, and design documents from the original TV anime series. It will also feature digital assets from Rebuild of Evangelion film series for the first time, aiming to show how the franchise evolved over time. The event is organized by Tokyo City View with the support of Kahara, the anime Tosaku's archive organization, and partners. And like I said, if you haven't seen this is a series by Hideki Anno, produced through Gainax back then. It originally aired from October 95 to 96. It's a great story. It's really good. I mean, when this comes down to it, this is in my top 10 of all time in the anime itself. This itself, it has inspired others to create some of the mech series similar to it. Some of the ideas on there, novels on that, is even some stuff that's been inspired here in the U.S. as well. I mean, it is, like I said, it's good. It's still, I believe it's still running on Netflix. On that, do check it out. The Twice Upon a Time, you can watch that over. I believe that you can watch that over still on Amazon Prime itself. All three movies. It is really, really good. And now we're celebrating 30 years of it. I mean, like I said, I saw it years ago. I have some of them on the original DVDs on there. I do plan to update my collection on there and try to get the better format. Hopefully they're out on there and they have a better. And the last couple of movies on there. I don't have all the movies itself, just the original series that ran. But all in all, do check it out. If you're in Japan, go check out the exhibition. You got plenty of time to get there. Like I said, it starts during the holiday season on there if you happen to be in Japan at the time. Now, before we get into today's main article, I have to bring this up. And I don't know how to take this point, whether it is exact or basically it's just someone trying to push this situation on there. There were a couple of things that ran on X recently. People were talking about certain characters on the One Piece series, that they were trans characters. And I'm not talking about the original situation from before. These were some characters that a little over the top, but for One Piece, pretty much normal for characters on there. And I've seen a lot of people complain about it. That they say, well, anime is being transphobic. And so let me give you a little detail. Let me give you a little bit of an explanation. When it comes to the LGBTQ community, when it comes to transgender, anime has been the biggest, one of the biggest entertainment services out there that, when it comes to shows, when it comes to movies, that have used gay characters, have used trans characters, have used, drag characters, to the point. Some of it long before the mainstream media itself, Hollywood and all that, was doing it themselves. Most of what you could have get for in between is that, back in the day when while I was young, I think the closest you got was maybe an episode of a TV show, which basically became a little controversial at the time, or stuff out of Europe, like for example, La Caja Falls. If you haven't seen that movie, great movie. The remake was also great with Robin Williams, which is Birdcage. The original is very good, and the original has a sequel to it. Never got to see the sequel, and it was a Broadway show. But the thing is that you see that people criticize. They say, "Well, not enough minority characters in anime." It's from Japan, but they've had minority characters on there. Well, I don't like how they look. It's caricatures. It's the same thing for the years that people have been criticizing, saying that the some of the Disney cartoons, some of the Warner Brother cartoons were very racist at the time. You could say that basically these were insane looking characters, but they were caricatures. They're making levity of the situation, stereotyping, they're basically making fun of the stereotyping itself. And we still do it today in comedy. Hollywood has made movies stereotyping Hispanics, blacks, Asians, and other places around the world has done it also. But when it comes to the trans characters, you could have it either way, or you could have both. Either you don't have it at all, or you allow them to basically sometimes add them in as a joke, or you could have serious characters. Now, there was one character, I think it was BB. Was it BB? I was trying to remember the name of the character. It's in Vandred, who was a male spy for the because let me turn back the time a little bit on that. If you're not familiar with Vandred, the anime, it is a universe where men and women live on separate planets, and they just literally don't like to they don't do anything together. In other words, they're frightened of each other. Well, actually, more the guys than the women. They consider the women monsters and stuff like that. So basically, there is a ship of female pirates, and the second in command is a spy for the men, who basically has surgically altered himself to be a woman. Has a device that makes his voice sounds like a woman, but he's able to turn his voice back, which we find out toward the end of the series, and stays a woman at the end of the series itself. This is one of many hundreds of stories out there of characters that basically are either gay, trans, male gay, lesbians. They've always been in the history of anime itself, going all the way back a bit, and like I said, a lot longer than Hollywood was putting stuff out. And when I hear stuff like this, it upsets me. It really, truly upsets me that basically, you still have people out there criticizing the industry that they themselves never has truly watched anime in itself. They may have seen a clip here, an episode there, but they never truly sat down to watch any anime series, especially ones that basically has characters that they keep condemning. Is this the same thing with the Dr. Seuss books that were they were pulled off the market, which I would call those have been banned? For the reason is they didn't like the caricatures of the characters on there. It is a fantasy world. It doesn't exist. That you need to put into the perspective that people are not being racist. It's a caricature. It doesn't exist. It's making levity of situations on there. People enjoy jokes all the time. And comedians make jokes about minorities and the stereotypings and stuff like that. You got guys like Richard Pryor, also Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, and many others that have been in the industry, Gabriel Iglesias. I can go down the line of dozens of comedians who make fun of different minority groups, and even the white people, as well, to that point. If you can't take a joke, don't watch or listen. That's the thing. You don't like it, don't watch it. There are other people who do enjoy it. Let them enjoy it. It's not making them racist. It's something that's funny. There have been plenty of movies. Blazing Saddles. They said, well, we can't make Blazing Saddles. They'd be too racist. What do you mean it would be racist? It was making fun of racism. That was the whole premise of the fucking movie. It was making fun of racism. Remember, this was made by someone who was Jewish. Same thing with History of the World Part 1. And there have been plenty other movies throughout history on itself. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. White Chicks. There are tons of movies on there. Airplane. Top Secret. There are plenty of movies you can find. And they said, well, you can't make it today. Of course we can make it today. Of course we can. If we have the will, the strength, and a fantastic writing. I mean, they're trying to redo Naked Gun, which is, they're not going to do well with that because they can't capture the right jest of that, comedy action, Leslie Nielsen of that time period, of the way they wrote it back then. But I just want to throw out my 2 cents on that because it's ridiculous. I've been seeing clips, and some people have been writing these little mini articles saying, "Oh, it's so bad," for basically just checks and hearts and whatever that you want to say, for likes on their particular article on there. And it's ridiculous to say that it's transphobic. It's not. It's not. It never has been. It never will be to that point. Get to the point that you basically, everything can be made fun of. South Park proved it many, many a times on that for many years now. And many other series. And some of them have backed off a bit. And, and I said, well, you're being wimpy allowing them. What made you the best of the best, you should continue to do. Don't be afraid of those bad critics out there. It's like, and I say this once and I say it again, it's like Howard Stern said years ago when he was good. If you don't like my show, turn it off. Turn to another station. You don't have to listen. You don't have to watch. Nobody is tying you down to do this. Everybody has their opinion on things. People will like it and some people won't. But don't alienate the people that want to see the things on there. That's censorship. So once again, shame on you. You want to throw this at people. Take a moment. Go out and watch some of it before you criticize it. So let's move on. Let's move on out of this. That's ridiculous. All right. In past we've talked about, we have people out there who don't understand anime and manga. And it's been for quite some time. And Hollywood is going to do everything they can to try to make money off of this. And they've tried. And they've failed miserably a lot of times. I mean, there are some movies out there that they've created basically, that worked out. And the rest, well, pure garbage. We don't have to go down the list of anything on there, but I just want to put this out there. When it comes to Hollywood and the anime industry, they shouldn't come together. They shouldn't touch each other, honestly. I mean, if they want to collaborate on something, okay, I would tell the Hollywood studio, let the Japanese studios handle most of the grunt work because they know what they're doing. And it shows. It shows in a lot of the Hollywood productions that they just don't understand the storyline. Because, you got companies like Crunchyroll will sit there and say, on the English dubs, it says, well, we have to change it a little bit so people would understand. Understand what? I've been watching anime since I was a kid. I've been watching it subtitles. I understand everything they're talking about. What I didn't understand, I learned later on in life. How much detail do you need to change so it registers, with everybody here in the U.S.? How much really are you going to do? I mean, do you do this to Kurosawa movies? I don't think so. I love the Akira Kurosawa movies. The Seven Samurai, which is, they remade into to the Western, the Magnificent Seven. And there've been many other movies after, to that point, even science fiction movies on there, TV series that have been done similar to the Seven Samurai. Ron is King Lear, is a version of King Lear, and it's a fantastic movie. Go over to Tubi, check it out. It is available over there right now, free. This is one of the last films to ever use this many extras, over 1,500 extras, 1,500 horses in a battle formation. You say, well, what about Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones, they only had just a small group, and basically everything else was CG'd. They don't do big extravaganza. The same thing, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was fantastic, but still, a lot of it was CG'd. Even though they did have a lot of extras on their site, but still, a good chunk of it was CG'd. Ron, no CG. No CG at all. But there is a producer, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, Mie Onishi. And another one is Noritaka Kawaguchi. He's the founder of CoMix Wave Films. And they basically, they're upset because they don't like Hollywood stepping in to their territory. And there's a great little article out there. And it's by Anime Corner. It's by Chiki Nowani, excuse me if I mispronounced that. Sorry. Hollywood views as anime as cheap alternative pisses me off, says as Japanese producer Mie Onishi. The founder, CEO, chairman of CoMix Films and Mie Onishi, advisors to the company's overseas business department, shared their frustration over the rising number of requests from Hollywood to produce animated, motivated by Hollywood purportedly seeing it as a cheaper means of production compared to live action. Now, understand this. Yes, it is cheaper to animate because to the point that there are certain things you can't do. Perfect example. If you've seen Predator Killer of Killers, the third story in it takes place in the Second World War, where a World War II fighter pilot fights a Predator ship and dives into the town itself, flying through the side streets on there. That's something very hard to do, even if you CG'd it, in a live action situation. But you can't continue to sit there and say, well, let's just throw this out there and that out there and not try to do a live action of a particular movie. Continuing on, as Oshii and Kawaguchi spoke about recently, announced live action adaptations of anime IPs such as One Punch Man, Naruto, and CFW's Your Name. They shared the following exchange. Oshino, also there are anime adaptations of Star Wars, Scott Pilgrim, and Lord of the Rings. Kawaguchi, there are too many little works to check out. I have to watch Japanese anime, and I also have to read The Jump. Oshi, that's right. That's why it's not a good idea to animate everything. Anime is just a method, not a genre. In fact, what I hate these days is that when I talk to people in Hollywood, they ask me, can you make this an anime? What lies behind this is something like, oh, it's cheap if it's an anime, and which really pisses me off. Kawachaki, it pisses me off as well. Oshiman, it would cost 20 billion yen to make a live action movie, so can't you make it an anime? Kawachaki, please tell them it is 30 billion yen for an anime. Okay, I'll let them know. Kawachaki, Hollywood creators also like Marumuno Oshii and Makoto Shinji, so there are a lot of people who want to try making a movie in Japanese anime style once. The rest of the discussion, which includes thoughts of CWF's Overseas Business Department Chief Ayo Ishimura, explores CWF's success and further exploits to improve its accessibility overseas, the struggles of Japanese live-action industry, which Japan has a great... Asia has in a whole, has some great live-action movies. Really good. I mean, we didn't live without the Hong Kong stuff. The Hong Kong martial arts stuff. We ate it up back when I was a kid. Oshii desired to turn in stop-motion animation short film Hidari into a full-length film, and changes within Hollywood domestically and in the terms of international reach. Oshii argues that there is now a two-way exchange of films between Hollywood and foreign office boxes. She and Kawaguchi added that the controversies over the lack of diversity in film award selections, even the films that are distributed outside of the traditional major studios, can win Academy Awards animation, as Flow did this year and The Boy and the Heron did last year. Oshii believed that the previous Hollywood environment, where films were distributed by traditional distributors, won awards. DreamWorks' The Wild Robot would have won the Academy Award this year, and I agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly. This is the problem on there in Hollywood. Kawaguchi also argues that Hollywood's previous atmosphere likely harmed the chances of Meiko Shinji films. The reason why Meiko Shinji works, such as Your Name, were not nominated because the distributor was Funimation's, acquired by Sony Television in 2017. If we had entrusted the distributor rights to Sony Pictures, they might have been nominated. In the midst of all that politics, when Oshii said, "I think Wild Robot will win," that means that there was a kind of atmosphere that the Flow won in the entertainment means that the voters voted wholeheartedly. See, the thing is, and getting to that point, and we'll get back to the other half of this. See, there's a problem in Hollywood that they're basically, and I call it Hays Code 2.0. They're telling creators what they can and cannot create, or what basically the tools that are needed. And I'm talking also about the people who acted in it. Acted, is a tool part. They said, well, you have to have X amount of this minority in your project. It's like, you don't tell me what I can and cannot hire. It's not being racist. It's that you're being the racist. You're telling me who I can hire and who I can't hire. If I hire somebody that is really good at what they do, a really good voice actor, a really good animator, versus someone who does not have the experience, because let me tell you this, as much as there is some good people in minority communities that can draw good, but they cannot draw excellent. You see all these people, they draw Dragon Ball and all this, that's fine. Yeah, pretty good. That's pretty good. You might find yourself drawing some basic animation. True work animation is a lot more into it. It's a lot more, and people don't realize what goes into that. We don't do cell shading as much as we used to, as far as, on paper, when it comes to animation. Most of it is coming off computers now these days. The technology has moved onto the internet and computers. Between 2D and 3D, there is skill that it's involved. You can be good, but to be really good, that in itself is artistic. You have to be a true artist in the business. And like I said, I'm not knocking on anyone else. They could try to do their best to get on there, and they can improve and get there. But don't expect to get hired on the first shot. You shouldn't be. You should not be pushed ahead of the line when it comes to certain projects. And it's the same thing with directors. Same thing with camera people and stuff like that. You don't tell the creators, the studios, that it says you got to do it this way. That is the problem we've had for many, many of years. Hays Code 1.0, the original Hays Code itself. Go back and look at it from the 30s into the 60s. When you look at movies from the 1970s to the 1990s, look at how much quality changed in the stories. There was, you get to the 80s, there was a lot of garbage movies. Yes, of course, in that. But the creativity of it is, think of the stories themselves. There were a lot of low budget films at that time period. Guess what? A lot of the people who were in these low budget schlocks and stuff like that went on to make stuff that won Oscars. Remember, there was a man out there, God rest his soul, Roger Corman, made a lot of good low budget movies and some schlocks. Look at who worked with him. Look at all the people working, people like James Cameron on there that worked with him. Or, as some people put it, the school of Roger Corman. There were many graduates out of the school of Roger Corman. And what I mean, it's not an actual school. It's people who worked with Roger Corman on projects. Those people went on to make bigger and masterpieces in film, in history. He took in who he could. He knew that he saw people who had abilities, and he sharpened them. When they left, they made some stuff that people are still talking about today. And that's the same thing with the anime world. You look at the original anime. There was black and white, some great, beautiful stuff on there. Then we get into the color era. We get into the Speed Racers and Battle of the Planets, or originally which were called Gotcha Man, Galaxy Express 39 onto there, and then we get into the movies themselves: Akira, Ghost in the Shell, and all the other TV series: Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon. Look at the backgrounds, look at the elements by it, especially Akira. Take a moment. If you haven't seen Akira, go and take a moment and look at it. Look at the background and the foreground to the situations of the way it was drawn back then. It's beautifully done. It works. This is one of the reasons why Ghost in the Shell, the live action movie, didn't do well. Because of the background imagery, the way they laid it out, the way they shot it. That's why it didn't work that well. Some things just doesn't belong in live action. And there's some things that in live action doesn't belong in anime. And we see this going back and forth with things. I mean, I think we're still getting a John Wick animated series onto there. And we've had other. Let me tell you something. We've had a lot of movies made into animated cartoons in the years on there. I mean, we've had, Rambo was one, RoboCop. Let's see, on there, Conan. We had an animated series on that. Highlander. And it can go on and on and on. Many series. I mean, there's even a Toxic Avenger cartoon series out there. We have the new movie coming out very soon. But there was a Toxic Crusaders years ago. I mean, if Hollywood wants to make it into an animated series, don't go to Japan. Do it themselves. Because let me tell you something. There are still some really good guys out there that might be able to do it for you. Because you look at the stuff that was made here by artists from the United States. We've had some good stuff. Look at Heavy Metal. Heavy Metal is such a great movie. Such a great movie. People say, oh, well, it has the sex in it and the violence and all. But it was beautifully done. The Lord of the Rings, the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, is a good movie as well. Wizards, which is another one by him. And I've said this before, repeating myself, Wizards, such a great film as well. And there's so much more. At one point, Disney used to make some great cartoon movies. They completely lost their way on that. DreamWorks and many others, movies like Iron Giant, out there, that was really, really well done, that they just don't do anymore. They too much into the politics, too much into, oh, I have to hire this amount of people on there. And then you have people in the writing board that shouldn't be there writing. They want to interject their politics. Tarantino said it, that's why he's getting out. It's like Hollywood has lost its artistic expression and replaced it with activism. That is what's driving in Hollywood. And I know the guys in Japan don't want that for their stuff. That's why they are still popular. This is why manga is still top line. This is the reason why they're trying to reclassify them as pornography. It ain't because that there is sex and stuff like that in there. They're trying to push them down. They're trying to ban them because they have created great product. When you have a series like Free Ren, which basically should have won a lot more awards, a series that actually showed one of the, as far as Japanese anime, the closest you're going to get to true storytelling from an elf point of view. Really well done. Good story and good act. For the action that's in there, it's really good as well. I can't wait for the next season on this. Not knocking on the other ones that have won on there. Soul Leveling. Soul Leveling season 2 was phenomenal on there. Kaiju number 8. Demon Slayer. There's so many series out there that I myself have enjoyed and should stay that way. If Hollywood wants to make animation, don't go to Japan. Do it yourself. And if they tell you, well, we should animate this movie, to save money, don't think like that. Don't think like that. Create it. That's what being an artist is. You can create it. We can go back to the point where we didn't use that much CGI. It is possible to make movies like that. We have the technology now to make some great movies, and not with a high-end CGN, with the looks, the shading, and everything possible, the editing. Right now I use DaVinci Resolve. I'm on. We just updated to 20. It is a fantastic piece of editing software. If you guys haven't gotten to use it in your editors out there, there's a free version and there's a $300 version, a one-time fee of $300 if you want to do it. And it works. The free version works great. You say, well, they must not have a lot on there. There's a couple things here and there, a couple tweaks here and there. But let me tell you, as far as the shading, as far as the editing, the everything on there, the audio, you could do so much for it. You could do a whole movie on there without an issue on the free version. Because meanwhile, you have media sites like YouTube that's trying to take away, the fake trailers, which that in itself is artistic. I don't know why they don't see it that way. They say, well, it's a fake trailer. Okay, we could throw a fake trailer at the beginning of the video itself. And some of these people do. I mean, yeah, you got a small amount of people out there that basically will try to make it look like it's real. But obviously, there are ways of looking at it and say, that's not happening. But the thing about it is, what comes of it is that you've had a lot of people in YouTube that have edited stuff like this that have gone on to work in Hollywood. Or they've done projects, small projects, that are just now getting out on Amazon or on Shudder or on Tubi. Low budget stuff. And that's what's making money now, is the low budget stuff. You don't need the $200 million, the $300 million, $400, $500 million budget to make a film. There are people that have done it as low as $50,000 to $100,000. Just peruse the box office and look at the smaller films and what it costs them to make. Most of them break the bank and go into the black within the first and second week of their opening in the theatrical. It is possible. Even anime itself. Anime movies make money in the box office. That's how come they could still produce. And the thing about it is, and they're not afraid to continue on it, which was pushed away from the Saturday morning cartoons, is the merchandise. Merchandising of the Spaceballs. And that it's true. The merchandising does very well for itself. The Gundam stuff. Oh man, my God, the Gundam stuff, the Macross stuff on there. The figurines and stuff like that from, Demon Slayer, Kaiju number 8, till that. The t-shirts, the hats, the sneakers. This is the thing they pushed away here in the US from the regular cartoon lines. They said, well, it's taking advantage of the kids. They're making money. That's all it is. Just making money. Kids love this stuff. And what happened was they pushed it away. And the thing about it is, guess what? A lot of the industry stuff, the gaming industry, or the toy industries, they look at Japan more often for, to make money to that point because of that. So, leave Japan alone. They've been doing fine for a long time now. Let them continue to do their projects. Stop attacking them. I mean, we're still waiting to hear. Last I checked, SB 20 in Texas hasn't been signed yet. I know SB 3 wasn't signed, was vetoed. So hopefully, if he's going in numerical order, SB 20, hopefully we should be hearing that in the next couple of days. Hopefully before the holiday. So let me tell you one right now at the moment. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think about this. Like I say, it pisses me off too to see this. That Hollywood says, "Oh, it's a cheap way of making a movie. Let's just do it that way." Trust me, Hollywood, you can make movies, live action, cheaply. Stop giving the big budgets that you do. You'll be able to make small movies and make money. That's what you want to do, is to make money. Stop thinking that you want to make $1 billion, $2 billion off of one movie. Take it in drips and drabs. Companies have been making money off of that for a long time now. So let me know in the comments. Like, share, hit that subscribe. Thank you for those who tuned in. We really do appreciate that. Yes, it's Thursday evening. We're going into the weekend. Next weekend is the holiday. We will have a Thursday show. Hopefully, we do apologize for last week. There were some technical issues that we were resolving. Hopefully, we've resolved it. Especially, we're we're in the middle of the heat wave, and that was the reason why. To that point that we were trying to get some backup power ready for that. We weren't ready yet. But we're all together again, so you'll be able to tune in once again next week. Once again, thank you for tuning in. See you next time here, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, on Rumble, on Otaku Thursday. Be sure to check out Man with the Show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right here on YouTube and Rumble as well. Also, check us out on Sci-Fi Snob. I think my next one will be in another week or so. I'll be on Sci-Fi Snob's channel again. I believe that's episode 3, season 2 of Babylon 5. But do check them out this week also as well. If you've missed yesterday's episode, do check it out. It's still available on there live. So check it out. It's a great conversation on there. And hey, hit the subscribe on him too as well. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Take in that anime. Take in that manga. Treat it like a nice fine wine. When you open it, you smell it, you taste it, you enjoy it. And that's what you're supposed to do with this type of entertainment. Enjoy it. So until next time, bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways, listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.
Fuck all what you think, bitch. Make sure let me paint this.